There's been a lot of depressing news about Christianity and declining church attendance for decades. Until now. So you've probably seen the revivals happening on college campuses, and that is amazing to see. You've probably even seen the New York Times article declaring that Christianity's decline in the US appears to have halted. And maybe you've seen Joe Rogan and Jordan Peterson talk openly about Christianity and draw audiences of millions doing it. So the question is it impacting the local church? And until now, I didn't know whether it was or not. But there's some brand new Barna data I want to show you from their State of the Church. And the study, I think, suggests that maybe this is starting to trickle into church attendance. And maybe, I don't want to get too far ahead of it, we're seeing the beginning of a turnaround in the church. So let's start here. All right, take a look at this chart. Now, what you'll notice when you look at it is the number of U.S. adults in 2023 who said that they attend church weekly rose 4 percentage points, from 28% to 32%. So that's actually the highest point in 7 years. And that begins to reverse. If you look at the chart as a whole, it begins to reverse a general 16-year slide that we've been seeing. Now, if you really want to see where this is heading with the next generation, check out this chart. And this is the chart that made me want to share the news with you, because what you'll notice is millennials and Gen Z are attending church more frequently than Gen X and boomers. In other words, they're coming to church more frequently than their parents and their grandparents. That I find fascinating. I don't know what you think. Maybe let me know in the comments. But like for Gen Z and millennials to be leading the path back to church, that's super cool. So overall, what you see is church attendance is rebounding, and it's being led by the next generation. So I know some of you are looking at this data and you're like, okay, these upticks are really small, right? True, I get it. But you got to think about it this way. Small improvements amplify over time. Like small decreases will amplify over time. And many church leaders have been working and praying for years to see revival and reach more people. So I think you got to kind of take the win and note, this is incredible. Like we're seeing a reversal of the trend that we've been seeing for decades. But to nuance it, okay, does that mean we're out of the woods? And I would say probably not. Because if you go deeper in the data, the number of US adults who qualify as practicing Christians actually has dropped from 45% in 2000 to just 20% today. So, that's not showing a massive revival. And like most truth, it's all nuanced, right? It's all nuanced. But you got to focus on the positive as well as, taking a look at the trends that are not as encouraging. And the number of US adults, just to, sort of have a sobering view of reality, who say they're Christian but don't have an active personal faith, has also jumped. In other words, yeah, I'm a Christian, but I'm not really doing anything about it. That number has risen as well. So I want to spend some time dissecting what all of this means. But before I do, I just want to let you know, if you enjoy data like this, you might want to subscribe to my email newsletter. It's called On the Rise. It's completely free. And every Friday, I send you data like this. When there's like an uptick or a downtick, I'll send it to you. It's fresh, curated content. Some of it on the health of the church, some of it just really cool stuff. So you can subscribe by simply going to ontherisenewsletter.com or visit the link in the description of this video. First thing I noticed is that Gen Z is still in revival and retreat. So I want to rejoice that the next generation is leading the way in engaging the Christian faith, but at the same time, the meta trends are challenging. So in my 2025 church trends, I shared this insight that Gen Z is in revival and retreat at the same time. So I probably, even in the last few months, I've changed my mind a little bit on that. Like I want to focus on the revival side, but there is still this retreat thing happening. So the stories are amazing. It's great. Millennials and Gen Z is returning to church. But what we need to remember is, yeah, that's happening in the thousands, tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands. But there's 70 million Gen Z in the United States alone. And so personally, I'm praying for revival. to win out over retreat, but that means a lot of work ahead for everyone. Second observation I'm thinking about is celebrate the win, but don't declare victory too soon. One of the challenges for leaders, I've had this in my leadership, especially for optimistic leaders, right? And if you're not an optimistic leader, well, what kind of leader are you, right? Is declaring victory before the battle is actually over. Sure, take the win. And maybe you are seeing great things at your church. You're seeing an awakening, a resurgence, or an outpouring, or however you describe it. And that's amazing. But I have to remind myself, full rooms don't mean a fulfilled mission. So what I think we have to do as pastors and leaders is keep your heart turned toward God and toward reaching more people who don't attend church. Third thing I'm remembering is don't let anecdotes overrule data. You know what? Church leaders love anecdotes. We really do. I know most people didn't like the sermon, but I found like this one guy who really thought it was amazing and it changed his life. And you know what? That happens, right? But what that is, that's not a trend, that's an anecdote. And so maybe you baptize 10 young adults and you take it as a sign that revival is broken out. Well, yeah, but is that a trend or is that an anecdote? Or you might have to add an overflow room to hold people attending your church. And that's awesome. Like, take the win. Or, and this is where it really becomes important, maybe you're watching this video and you're like, you know what? Revival has not hit my church. We're not baptizing people. We're not seeing millennials and Gen Z. And you know what you're doing? You're staring out at mostly empty pews and chairs and you feel so discouraged. Here's a reality. In leadership, you got to let the data inform you, but don't let it drive you or your decision making. Let it inform you. Yeah, this is awesome, 10 baptisms, or no, everybody here is 75 and I don't know about the future of our church. But if you want to look at the numbers, look at them, but realize you got to surrender. God is still moving and there's still work to do. There's people to reach. So whether you're in a winning season or a discouraging season, just know that God has a big future planned. There's a lot of people to reach. Revival is possible, but it's not inevitable. So wise leaders, they learn how to manage the tension between naming reality and never losing hope. And I think that's the challenge for you. Celebrate your stories, mourn them, but then get on your knees, roll up your sleeves, get back to work, because the mission continues. So what do we learn from this? Well, first of all, phenomenal that there is actually good news to share. And I hope and pray that there's way more good news in the years to come. I'd love to see those charts like keep moving up and to the right. But in the meantime, I'd love to know, what are you seeing? How do you understand the moment we're in? And the best way to do that is leave a comment below.